guys, it's Kristen, and today we're going to be talking about Netflix's new movie, Dumplin. This is actually a book-to-movie adaptation based off of the young adult novel Dumplin by Julie Murphy. So I'm going to be doing a little bit of a book versus movie review, but also just kind of talking about the movie in general and my thoughts on it. So Dumplin is about a plus-size teen from Texas named Willow, played by Danielle Macdonald, who has a strained relationship with her mom, who is a beauty pageant queen, played by Jennifer Aniston. Willow was really close with her Aunt Lucy, who unfortunately passed away. She was also plus-size, she was very confident and outgoing, and she really helped Willow embrace who she is no matter what size. They have this really strong bond and passion for Dolly Parton, and even though Aunt Lucy has passed away, that's something that Willow keeps with her at all times. And this film in general just has a really hearty mix of both Dolly Parton songs and Dolly wisdom. Dolly is a huge part of this film, not even just in spirit, but also she physically wrote the soundtrack for it, getting a Golden Globe nod for Best Song for the track Girl in the Movies that she wrote with Linda Perry. While Willow is going through her aunt's belongings, she ends up finding an old pageant form that shows that Aunt Lucy wanted to compete in the pageants like her sister as well and never got a chance to. Willow ends up signing up for the pageant, I think in part to do something that her aunt never got a chance to do, kind of honor her in that way, and also to help break up some of those unrealistic beauty standards that women put on themselves in pageants and just in general, and the beauty standards that we even see Willow's mom trying to uphold and live up to. I think there are a lot of times where even Willow is kind of conflicted about why she's doing the pageant and doesn't really have her heart in it, and we eventually get to see these really amazing Dolly Parton drag queen impersonators come into the picture and kind of help Willow and her friends find their own inner sparkle, which I loved. So let's start out with the characters in this film. I think Danielle Macdonald did a really great job as Willow. You can see that she's confident in her own skin, but at the same time, you do get to see some moments where she feels insecure, and I think that, you know, yes, this is a body positive film, but at the same time, everybody has insecurities or doubts sometimes. And I thought the way that they handled it in this film was really well done. I think that Willow is very realistic about beauty biases and the world that we live in and the town that she lives in and how that all works, especially as the daughter of the, famous town beauty queen. I thought she brought a real relatability to her fear in dating Beau, and I think we even get to see her conventionally pretty best friend, Ellen, played by Odeya Rush, go through the same type of experience with her own boyfriend. So I thought this film did a really great job of showing that, anybody can feel insecure at times, and that doesn't mean that you're not body positive, or that doesn't mean that you're not confident. I think they made it just seem like a very realistic, relatable type of situation, and in general, I thought Willow was very charismatic. I thought she really made you root for her. I also thought Jennifer Aniston brought a really great dynamic to this film, playing Willow's mom. They don't really see eye to eye, and I don't think it's because she's a bad mom. I think it's just that they don't understand each other. I think as the story goes on, we do see them come together, over grieving Aunt Lucy, over, Willow kind of coming into her own. It was really nice seeing her mom be so proud of her for doing her thing in the pageant and owning it. And overall, I really did like the elements that Aunt Lucy's character brought to this film. I think that it really made everything just kind of go a little bit deeper. It kind of gave you more of like an emotional pull to the story, because not only are we following this girl who's trying to figure out where she fits in the world, but she's also grieving and struggling with the death of someone who was so close to her and who really, helped her feel her best. And we end up finding out that her mom feels the same way. It turns out that they're both struggling with this loss. I think that kind of brings them a little bit closer together as well. And I think when it comes down to it, Willow's mom was never trying to hurt her. I think she just didn't understand how to connect with her. And I think her using the nickname Dumplin was more of supposed to be a term of endearment. Watching this movie and seeing Jennifer Aniston in this role, I felt like I could see a little bit more of just the miscommunication between Willow and her. I think that they were both feeling lost and didn't know how to come together and be there for each other, and as the film went on, we really got to see that. So I really liked that mother-daughter aspect of this, and seeing that, just that family aspect in general of this film. Getting into the friends. So I liked Odeya Rush as Ellen, but I do feel like they didn't include her in as much of the film as I hoped they would. Willow and Ellen have been best friends since they were young. They both have a love for Dolly Parton. They both were really close with Aunt Lucy, and I think that there was like a moment in the film where it kind of broke up their friendship a little bit, and I wish that they had focused on that a little bit more or addressed it a little faster, because I just thought it was a little bit of a missed opportunity to not have Ellen there when they met the Dolly Parton drag performers. Instead, she brought Hannah, played by Bex Taylor-Klaus, and Millie, played by Maddie Baillio. I think the problem here for me was more that the friendship seemed a little bit too surface level. I feel like we didn't get to see true friendship between Willow, Dean, Hannah, and Millie, so I just was like, why are they there with her when she's, you know, kind of finding herself and, you know, hanging out with these Dolly Parton impersonators, when really Ellen would have appreciated that. I mean, like, I get it because, like, her best friend, like I said, is the stereotypically pretty one, and I think Willow Dean felt like Ellen didn't understand. But I think with Ellen we get to see that, like, yes, she does deal with similar things to Willow Dean, even though they're different body types and just different people in general. You know, again, everybody feels insecure sometimes, and I think we got to see that in Ellen as well. So back to Millie and Hannah, I really love Bex Taylor-Klaus, so I was excited to see her in this film, but I have to admit I was a little bit disappointed. I feel like they didn't give her enough to work with her character. You know, she played this kind of like goth activist feminist type of character as Hannah, and I do think that there were some moments that were really cool, like when she went out in her swimsuit during the pageant. It was kind of like, I'm doing this for myself, not for anyone else. And for a second, I really thought that she and Millie were gonna get together. Like, there was definitely something going on there. But in the long run, I feel like we didn't really get to learn much about her character or see her do much. It just felt a little bit stereotypical to me, instead of like getting into that deeper root of who her character was. Like, maybe they just didn't have enough time. When it comes to Millie, I think that she was really optimistic. She was really positive and bubbly, which was refreshing to see, like, you know, this plus size character who, you know, when jokes and things would come her way about her size, she kind of brushed them off and, you know, was a lot stronger than she looked, and I thought that was pretty awesome. But again, I felt like the friendship there just, I think they needed like maybe another scene or something, or just something that brought them a little bit closer together, because I didn't understand why they were part of this group when at times it seemed like Willow Dean didn't even really like them. Getting into some of the differences between the book and the movie, there was a character in the book named Amanda that didn't make the cut in the movie, and they ended up focusing a little bit more on Becca, played by Dove Cameron, who is one of the pageant contestants. Although, to be honest, I feel like her character didn't really serve a purpose in the story at all, other than just being that person that was like the surefire winner of the pageant. I will say I'm a little bit surprised that Dove Cameron's role was so small, because she is kind of one of the bigger names, I think, in this film in terms of like the younger cast. When it comes to Beau, who plays Willow Dean's love interest, he's played by Luke Benward. From what I remember in the book, I think there was a little bit of drama with their relationship as well. In the movie though, they significantly cut down his role, and he kind of became this cookie cutter perfect guy for Willow Dean. You know, he was really handsome. She didn't understand why he wanted to be with her. He was like, you're beautiful, you're perfect the way you are. And he was, I mean, really, he was in not much of the film at all.
Willow Dean Dyson, I think you're beautiful. To hell with anyone else who's ever made you feel less than that.
I felt like there wasn't real chemistry between them, because we just didn't really see them on screen much together. I would have either rather seen him get a little bit more screen time just so we could kind of build that relationship a little bit more, or just cut him out, because I feel like the story wasn't even really about him. I will say I did like, though, how they focused less on a romantic love story and more on Willow Dean and self-love and her relationship with her mom, but you know, it does stray a little bit away from the source material of the book. The people who really guide Willow Dean in this film are the local Dolly Parton drag impersonators, played by Harold Perrineau, and real-life drag queen and RuPaul's Drag Race contestant Ginger Minj. The drag queens definitely have a bigger role in this film than they did in the book, which I love. I'm a huge Drag Race fan. I feel like the LGBTQ community, I feel like the drag community are really into that idea of family, you know, like you have a drag family, they share last names in terms of stage names and stuff like that, and I think that that was really cool to see in this film, because not only are we focused on Willow Dean and her family, you know, her and her mom and her aunt, but we get to see these drag queens kind of come into the picture, and they were friends with Aunt Lucy. They're ready to guide these young girls and kind of form their own little drag family. I love that they're able to help these girls really come out of their shells and find their own voices, and, you know, bring it when it comes to that pageant. This was a little bit different from the book versus the movie, but I had a lot of fun with it. Willow Dean's talent performance in the pageant. In the book, she lip syncs to a Dolly Parton song, and in the movie, she does this really awesome magic act to a Dolly Parton song. And it just, you know, brought this kind of element of surprise and excitement. I do want to talk a little bit more about the pageant itself and the plan to ruin the pageant and just kind of how all of that goes. I feel like we never actually found out what are the girls going to do to ruin the pageant. And instead, it kind of looked like they were just like gonna not put effort in, which I think doesn't ruin the pageant. It just kind of would embarrass them and make it seem like, yeah, these girls don't belong here. Instead, with the help of these drag queens, the girls get to prove that they really are formidable competitors in this pageant. And they even get to make some really bold, positive statements as well, like everybody is a swimsuit body. Something that I think would have made this film feel a little bit more full circle is, I mean, like, you know, they focused on the idea of Aunt Lucy so much, and throughout the film, Willow Dean has been looking for this bee pin that she would wear all the time, and she finally finds it, and I kind of wish that at the end of the film, at the pageant, she had worn the pin on her costume. I think that would have been like kind of a nice, you know, tribute to Aunt Lucy, who was kind of really guiding her this whole time, you know, guiding her, you know, to these drag queens, guiding her to, you know, figuring out her relationship with her mom and making it better. I do think that her influence was really seen and felt throughout the film, so I feel like that could have been a nice little tribute at the end. Something else that was really interesting that was kind of different in the book versus the movie was, in the book, it wasn't really important who won. The idea was more about, you know, the fact that these girls went out there and did their thing, and that was kind of enough. And I think in this film, it was interesting that we did get to see the winners. Willow Dean ends up getting disqualified because of all her costume changes and whatnot, even though she did a really great performance. But we get to see fellow plus-size contestant Millie take home the first runner-up place, which was really awesome. And then we got to see Becca take home the crown as the official winner. There's a couple of different ways we could think about this. You know, my first thought was kind of like, oh, Millie got first runner-up, but they still had like this skinny, blonde, perfect girl win first place. But the more I thought about it, the more I was like, you know what? This was kind of a cool ending because Millie, you know, this is the first time she's ever been in a pageant, and to get first runner-up, that's like insane. Even just seeing Millie and Willow Dean and Hannah participate in the pageant just kind of showed that you don't have to be this picture-perfect pageant girl to get out there and put yourself out there and show people who you really are. And at the same time, even though Becca, who won, looked like a stereotypical pageant girl, you didn't see her do the things that happen stereotypically in pageants, like backstab people, be mean to people. She genuinely seemed like she was nice and she deserved to win. I think the point of the film was never about winning the pageant. I think it was proving that you deserve the same opportunities as everyone else. Showing that there are different types of beauty out there and just being confident and loving who you are. Overall, I did have a lot of fun watching Dumplin. I thought it was very lighthearted. It had a great message. I think there were definitely some emotional moments that might get you in your feels. If this film does do well on Netflix, I wonder if they'll end up adapting the companion book to Dumplin called Puddin', which is more focused on Millie. I would love to know what you guys thought about Dumplin. Make sure to leave a comment down below and let me know, especially if you read the book. What did you think about it compared to the movie? Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it and click that subscribe button if you like my videos because I come out with new ones every week. See ya!